Guys, man, we gotta stop giving clout to these randoms that there's actually people in the world that do things that are crying out to be heard and hiding. It's crazy.
A lot of you are going to agree with me when I say this. I will probably never trust an influencer again. Now, you probably are wondering why I say that. And I say that because influencers nowadays, and I put that in air quotes, is exactly that. Someone placed there to specifically influence you on buying a product, service, or some sort of thing that they've gotten to help them get to where they're at. Their main goal is to show you a lifestyle, hope that you're gonna get there by using the same 5-step strategy that they have. Now, the reason why I don't believe it, and I don't think any of you guys believe it anymore, is because we've seen these same influencers and how they treat people and how they are in general. And obviously, I don't want to generalize every influencer out there. A lot of you guys are making a living. I respect it. But it gets to a point when a lot of you guys take your advice or your inspiration from these people that are meant to solely influence you. Think about it like this. I don't ever want to be in a spot ever again where I am inspired by an influencer. I am a creative. I create things. I use cameras. I use different types of mediums to create stories, tell different things through documentary and all these different things. And I realized that my inspiration should never come from that of an influencer, but that of a creative. Think about it, right? The best 2 examples I can give you is Kim Kardashian is an influencer, there to influence you to purchase and buy things. And there's a Kanye West, no matter what maybe any of you guys think of him, you know, he's been tripping recently, but even if you think of him however you do, that is a creative. Pharrell Williams, a creative. Michael Jackson, a creative. Van Gogh, a creative. Leonardo da Vinci, a creative. The list goes on and on and on and on. Their ideas wasn't there to influence you, it was there to inspire you. And I was thinking about this today as I was scrolling on Instagram, trying to figure out and find some more inspiration for this documentary. That's weird, isn't it? I was scrolling through Instagram to find inspiration on something that's not even short form. Now, this is where my mind kind of got rattled. And I was like, wait a second, I'm doing this all backwards. Why not try and be inspired from the source rather than the imitation or rather than what's been used to influence me? And at that moment, I realized Instagram is gonna need a little break from me and I'm gonna need a little break from it. That relationship's gotta teeter a little bit because yes, it's great to post. Yes, it's great to share your thoughts. But the moment you overindulge and overconsume, which our generation and Western culture has been programmed to do, you find yourself in a spot where you're overly anxious. You find yourself in a spot where every single idea you have comes from something that you see that went viral rather than actually being inspired by true art. I can take this back to a time back in 2022 when I first started this whole creative journey with filmmaking. And one of the main things that inspired me was the Genius documentary. Like I said, I'm not saying this because I am a Kanye stan. I love his music, probably one of my favorite artists. I can't get behind everything he says or does, but I will say this. That documentary single-handedly changed every single thing about what I wanted to do with my career. What it inspired me to do was be someone that is relentless, even when other people are saying no, even when doors are getting slammed in my face. During that time in 2022, I can remember this was before I landed my first client, and I was doing Uber Eats. And I remember on Canva, you could order a set of business cards that you can make from a template. And so back then, my business name was Hollowed Vision, and I only focused on portraiture, wedding films, and stuff like that. And I remember getting my cards in while I was doing Uber Eats. I went to go pick it up from the mailbox before I left. I can literally remember it like it was yesterday. I was leaving the apartment complex and I went to the mailbox and I got my business cards. And this was right before I started my Uber shift for the day. And so back when I was doing Uber Eats, it was just in the Kennesaw, Marietta area. And as I was driving around, I would start to see obviously certain houses that were, you know, not as nice. And I didn't really drop any of my cards in there, sorry. But whenever we got to these like big houses, if you guys are from Georgia and know that East Cobb area, you would know how big those houses get. And I remember driving up this driveway that was huge to open up into this ginormous neighborhood of beautiful, beautiful homes. And I had 2 deliveries in that neighborhood. I remember I was like, the idea was that, you know, obviously I'll just deliver the food, but then I looked to my right in my passenger seat and I remember I got all these business cards. And so when you would get stuff from Uber, they would staple it shut. And I remember what I would do is like right through the little slit that was open, I would drop my business card. I'd have a Sharpie with me and I'd write my phone number and my Instagram so they could see my portfolio. Now, maybe none of them ever saw anything that I put in. I don't think I got a single call, but it was from that documentary kind of having that mentality. And I think some of you guys can see with what J. Cole is doing is, you know, selling DVDs out the back of his car. It was kind of like that. And that was the beginning of that hustle for me, where I had made $9 to $10 every hour or so doing Uber Eats. That was just another place where I can fit my marketing in. And a couple years later, after everything absolutely went to crap and I lost all my business, I lost all my clients because obviously I didn't close them. They were closed through the agency that we had built, and we had a closer that they trusted. They just thought we were too young and couldn't handle everything. Anyways, that's another story for another day. We ended up, fast forward, they only wanted to work with us if this person was still working with us, and they weren't. And so I lost all those clients, and I went from this entire agency making $30,000 to $45,000 a month to being at zero, literally right after I proposed. And I found myself in the same spot I was in before. And I was like, you know what? I do have a camera now, which is cool. I have my FX3. I'm just gonna carry that with me as I do Uber Eats again, because I need to find a way to pay my car. I need to find, and these are the things that people don't see on the outside. They just see the overnight success of stuff. But I would bring my camera with me, and I will never forget it. There was a new restaurant that opened up in Dallas area near where I lived. And I drove up there and I said, I came in to get the food, and I saw that it was a brand new restaurant, and I had my camera in my passenger seat, and I was like, let me just walk in there with it and see what anyone says. As I walked in to grab the food, they didn't mistake me for like just the Uber driver or whatever. The owner was sitting in a booth, and he looked at me and he was like, hey, young man. And I was like, yeah, what's up? And he was like, you do video? And I was like, yeah, I do video. And he said, well, we have a grand opening that's coming up in a couple of weeks. Would love to chop it up with you about doing some video for it. And that in my head sparked it. I was like, wow, me just holding the camera, me just positioning myself to have that conversation could change everything for me. And from there, I went on to shoot that. I went on to then start building up my own personal clientele. And it all came from me just holding my camera in my hand, but at the same time, being willing to be embarrassed about doing Uber. And I think that says a lot, not just about me, but it says a lot about what you guys might not be willing to do. You guys take, in the same way that I was trying to find inspiration for a documentary on short form media, you guys are taking short form media and thinking that that's the whole process. You guys are taking short form clips and highlights of these people's lives and thinking that that is the way that you're gonna make it. When in reality, there is a lot of hard work that goes behind the scenes that people don't show. And my goal in my heart for this video is to tell you that you do need to take the steps. There is no skipping. There is no get rich quick. There is none of that. That doesn't exist. The idea of being influenced into thinking that this lifestyle is attainable by just getting a viral reel or a viral short form piece is not real. Even those influencers, even though they don't talk about it, there was a lot of hard work put in behind the scenes. There continuously is still a lot of hard work put behind the scenes, but you've been influenced into thinking that it's easy. You've been influenced into thinking that when you see a Brez Scales or these bigger people making millions and millions of dollars doing whatever they're doing, grifting online or whatever it is, you think that what they're doing is easy. No, they're putting their reputation on the line. Some of them may not care, but at least I do. Some of them are putting their reputation on the line. A lot of people are putting their money on the line. They're putting their livelihoods on the line to be able to give something off to you guys, to sell that lifestyle, you know? And the thing is like, I believe that what God has entrusted your hands with, you must steward it, honoring him. And the thing is yes, there are going to be people in life that are not going to steward it, that are not going to honor the resources and the talents that they've been given. But that is not your key to take that influence and think that you're just going to go and do the same exact thing. That is exactly why I will not take advice from an influencer. Now, I've encountered many of influencers, and they're not all one and the same. The reason I want to make the distinction is because yes, there is influencer. Yes, there is creator. Yes, there is creative. And the distinction is this, right? At least from what I've noticed, and this is not an overgeneralization, this is my personal experience. The influencers that I've interacted with, the ones that, you know, think they're all that, the hot shots, bro, there is a lack of wisdom with them. They think that the words that they say, just because they get a lot of comments and a lot of reshares, that what they're saying is true. Unfortunately, that is where the maturity ends. And I will say, these are not the people that we should be flocking over. We should actually take the moment to actually vet these type of people, because at the end of the day, whatever they say, you might think is gospel, but it's not true. It's not what is being lived. Now, I can speak for the creators that I've met, the ones that actually have a true hobbyist type of passion for the things that they do, but they were able to get some views. They were able to build a community and following. These people, I would trust them a lot more, because the thing is that they've came from a place where they didn't have. They came from a place where they're probably, even to this moment, not sure what it is their message actually is, but they just keep on showing up and creating. They don't think of themselves on this high horse. They don't think of themselves as higher than the next man or woman. They think of themselves as just another person in the crowd. And I'll say this, there's no problem being just the same person in the crowd. But when you try to fit into one or the other, influencer or creative, you're gonna find that in that middle, as a creator, you're gonna find it hard to identify with each one of those. And what I'll say for the creators that are watching this, that are creating for the pure love of the game, keep creating, because at the end of the day, you are the person that loves it. You are the person that wants to keep on doing. And I'll say this for the creatives, the ones that feel like their purpose and their calling is to inspire, but steward it well. Because at the end of the day, a creative that doesn't steward their talents is a creative wasted. And I'll say that because I've seen it. I was watching a video the other day and this sparked so much emotion for me. And I literally was driving home in tears watching this video. And I've never been brought to tears watching a YouTube video online. I'll be serious with you guys on that. I was watching a video about the story of Ryan Coogler. And what stood out to me about this story of Ryan Coogler was that as a football player, he thought that was his dream. He thought that was his ticket out. But his curiosity led him out of contentment. He found himself on the field thinking about different screenplays and writings just because he was inspired by a creative. And he took that inspiration and went on to create some of your favorite films. Creed, Fruitvale Station. All these things were off of a place of inspiration from somebody else inspiring. And that person that inspired him may not be as big as he is today, but that doesn't change the fact that he was inspired. And because of that inspiration, he is leading another generation to be inspired. So my thing for this video, and what I want you guys to take away from, is to understand that social media and all this stuff, yeah, it can be it can be a lie at times. But I will say that your BS meter is high enough to know the real from the fake. Just use your gut and understand that your inspiration should be inspired by the thing or the place that you want to be in or the people that are already there. But that's it for today's video. And thank you guys for all the love on the last one. I know it was a little bit different. I know it's a little more serious, but I think these are the thoughts that really truly come into my head whenever I am trying to build something that leaves impact and leaves some sort of, I guess leaves a residue of creativity on people. But yeah, if you guys like this video, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.